The beer that cursed the barrel and turned into a million-dollar flavor. Picture this. You crack open a barrel in the middle of the ocean, dreaming of a cold taste of home. And it smells like salad dressing, vinegar. More than a few sailors and merchants had that gut punch moment. The beer left London perfect and reached India wrecked. Weeks of heat, months of rocking, wood that breathes, and microbes you can't see but absolutely feel in your nose. Recipe for disaster. And out of that sloshing failure came a desperate hack that rewired the world's palate. A beer dryer, meaner, more bitter, and in the end, totally irresistible. We call it IPA. And yeah, it made a ton of money. The central defect is obvious. Beer spoils. Oak is not stainless steel, a ship is not a fridge, and tropical weather does not play nice. In the 1700s, shipping beer long distance was roulette with bacteria and wild yeast. The East India Company had logistics. What they lacked was a recipe that stayed fresh after half a world at sea. Cornered by bad barrels and worse reputations, one London brewer basically said, "Screw it," and cranked the hops. The barrel that went bad. Sour barrels weren't rare outliers. Heat accelerates everything. Oxidation, acid, funky aromas. If you love modern sours, great. Elegant acidity exists. Back then, this was a defect. Lost inventory meant lost money, and the porous staves of a cask hosted a microscopic zoo. Lactobacillus, Brettanomyces, hitchhikers that don't care about your business plan. Every barrel was a bet. When the bet went wrong, captains ate the cost, merchants took the blame, and reputations got torpedoed. Bow Brewery's Plan B. Enter George Hodgson of Bow Brewery, a guy as familiar with the London docks as with customers begging for credit. He didn't invent fire, but he used a good match. Take a pale, dry ale and fight the enemy with two old weapons: alcohol and hops. More alcohol, more hops, less leftover sugar. That doesn't sterilize the world, but it definitely discourages the uninvited guests in a barrel. The beer arrives sharper, bitter, and snappy. British expats love it. For a while, Hodgson rides the wave almost alone, helped by location, flexible terms, and the simple fact that his beer survives. The legend of the India Pale Ale takes shape on a ledger as much as in a pint. The voyage that cooks beer. There's a detail you want to raid on a supermarket label. The voyage cooks the beer. Months at sea, temperature swings, oxygen slipping through oak, call it forced aging. Hops don't just add bitterness. Their essential oils transform with time, building different aromas. The IPA unloaded in Calcutta wasn't a tea, quite the same liquid that rolled into a ship as hold on the Thames. It was the version matured by adventure. The defect of transport turned into part of the flavor. Landfall with a chip on its shoulder. In India, necessity becomes pleasure. The beer is bright, bitter, refreshing, perfect for crushing heat. Word sails home. The vibe crosses the Atlantic, loops Europe, hits America. Now cards on the table. Plenty of other beers also made the trip, and not every barrel was a horror story, that's true. But history runs on myth as much as manifests. IPA won the narrative, the survivor beer, the one that went through hell and tasted better for it. The myth gets loud and argues with the facts. Deep breath. A lot about IPA's origin story is foggy. Some versions swear it was designed solely for India's heat. Other historians say not exactly, pointing out that export ales were already strong and well hopped. Contradictions belong here. What nobody really disputes is the outcome: more hops, more time, more stability, and a taste that stuck. Myths survive because they're good to tell, and IPA, be honest, is a great story to tell. America flips the script. Fast forward to the late 20th century. US craft brewers start treating hops like an art supply store. Citrus and tropical varieties light up the scene. Dry hopping becomes the new magic, and doses that would have been heresy in the 1800s become normal. IPA turns into the show pony of craft. West Coast lean and mean, East Coast softer. Black IPA, New England hazy and juicy. Every substyle is a new way to tame or flaunt bitterness. The crowd buys in. IPA becomes the calling card, the first tap line, the silhouette of a movement, bitter money. When we say this flavor turned into real money, we're not just bar talking. US craft beer alone has been a multi-tens of billions of dollars game, and for years IPA wore the sales crown within the segment. Trends wobble, sure. Production ebbs and flows. But when a flavor digs that deep into culture, it stops being a fad and starts being an asset. The bitterness pays the bills, barrels of them. When bad luck becomes a method. Here's the twist. The same forces that ruined old barrels, time, wood, microbes, now power another million-dollar corner of beer, sours. Belgian lambic makers embraced spontaneous fermentation long before craft had a logo, and modern brewers learned to domesticate that chaos. What used to be a red flag became a badge. Lambic, Goose, Berliner, Gose, entire markets built on pretty acidity. IPA didn't invent that flip, but its survival saga taught the world to respect the accident. Myth versus the brewer's manual. So, did a cursed barrel create IPA? The honest answer, the curse lit the bulb. The need to beat the voyage pushed brewers toward higher attenuation, more alcohol, and more hops. If some historians pick at the details, yes, portership too, yes, strong pale ales already existed. No, Hodgson didn't conjure it from thin air. The drinker settled the debate in the glass. IPA became shorthand for audacity, the beer that doesn't ask permission. Every time that passion fruit pine perfume hits your nose, you're sipping a history lesson. A technique born to fend off bacteria, repurposed to fend off boredom. The price of convenient truths. Origin stories are like hops. In the right dose, they lift the flavor. Too much and the conversation turns harsh. For decades, the industry repeated the romantic line that IPA was custom-built for India's climate. Great story, clear villains, scrappy heroes, wild ocean, triumphant finale. Look closer and the edges soften. Plenty of styles traveled, not every cargo spoiled. A heavy hop hand might have been less a eureka moment and more an existing habit in strong, stored ales. The moral still holds. Defect cornered the solution. The error that taught our palate to fight back. Beer that turns in the hold is a loss. Beer that learns to cross oceans is culture. IPA was born from a tug-of-war between science and accident. Hops, alcohol, wood, time. Pieces of a puzzle thrown together in a panic to save cargo and face, and accidentally redrew the borders of taste's good. With IPA now basically everywhere, it is easy to forget the origin. A recipe hacked together so nobody would be embarrassed at the dock. From logistics failure to global crush. Factory defects. When luck sours, the palate sharpens, and the market smiles. If this voyage hit the spot, and you want more mistakes that turned into legendary flavors, smash like, subscribe, and tell me, what IPA converted you? Team Crisp West Coast or Juicy New England? Next episode, we ditch the brew kettle for rocket fuel, a space junk satellite that ended up showing us the universe like never before.